Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all well, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. As you may know, today we're here to talk about Sparkster strategy with regards to acquiring users for the decentralized cloud. So, last week we kind of spoke about why people would be interested in using the no code platform, Sparkster's no code platform. And um, we went over some of those reasons, and we talked about how those no code users would be a gateway. Essentially, that the no code platform is a gateway for adoption of the decentralized cloud. This week, I want to focus more specifically on why and how we plan to make the decentralized cloud uh, more mainstream and focus, kind of outlay the strategy that we have just for the decentralized cloud itself. So we, while the no code platform is focused on individuals and focused on enabling people to be able to build solutions to their problems or to be able to replace or paper-based processes, or to be able to innovate or bring their ideas to reality, for example, in the realm of entrepreneurship, we've always talked about how the decentralized cloud is a disruptive technology from the perspective that it's much cheaper and economical versus traditional cloud computing. So the primary way that we're going to communicate this, and we've got to understand that this is a different customer. We're selling to the enterprise here. So we're looking, for example, to engage a PR firm to help us with thought leadership. It's important that we're understood to be a leader in the realm of decentralized cloud computing, and specifically that we're understood to not only be people that are able to bring about the technology, but also able to communicate that effectively in terms of how those companies might be able to solve problems within their organizations using decentralized cloud computing. Examples include problems with security, problems with scalability, problems with distribution of the software they're building and manageability and things like that, and how decentralized cloud computing can help solve some of those issues. So PR firms will help us essentially be able to get those ideas out to the world by means of getting our thoughts and our opinions into magazines, like Business Insider and Forbes, and the sorts of media that reaches the C-suite and the executive leadership of large organizations. Secondly, and I think this is very important, is I think that we have to focus on accreditations, and we have to ensure that not only are there claims that we're making that are realized by people, but they're also validated by accreditation organizations. For example, our claims around security, scalability, and obviously, extremely importantly, data privacy. I think that we're going to need to seek independent accreditation of our technology, and that's going to go a long way. So, one of the ways in which decisions are made around enterprise technology is, looking at, for example, what do futurists like Gartner or Forrester have to say about the direction and the leaders of technology. We also have talked in the past about Gartner's Magic Quadrant. I think we talked about that last week. And so we want to make sure that we're a leader and in that Magic Quadrant in the decentralized cloud computing space. Now, why this is important is because if there's an enterprise that's thinking about using decentralized cloud computing, maybe they've discovered some of the marketing from some of our competitors in this space. Well, naturally, they're not just going to look at the solution provided by that one competitor. They're going to see, well, who else has solutions to this in the decentralized cloud computing space, and they're going to look at reports from accredited accreditation institutions like Forrester and Gartner, and therefore we naturally make it into the thought process and consideration of another company who we didn't necessarily hit with our marketing, right? Um, in terms of the types of people that we want to be speaking to, I think that the core focus here for the decentralized cloud is the DevOps team. So for those of you that may not know what DevOps is, these are a crossbreed between developers and data center operations. And essentially, they build things like Ansible scripts and such that enable software to be able to be distributed across a set of servers and such. And these guys are users of Amazon or users of Google or Microsoft. And I think it's important that we're targeting those types of people where they, in the forums that they participate in the sorts of articles they tend to read, and the things they follow, for example, on Reddit, that they're learning about the future of cloud computing, and that being decentralized cloud computing. So that's kind of, if you're talking about who are the individuals within the organization that are not the C-suite that we're going to be targeting directly, it's the DevOps team. And using our thought leadership activities, we'll be targeting the C-suite of the organization, who are essentially leading the thoughts in that organization, right? And then finally, I think it's very important that we build what we're calling vertical market solution showcases. So a showcase in a specific vertical market that, for example, if we were speaking to Volvo, they would clearly understand the applicability of decentralized cloud computing to them in the automotive industry, right? Now, I'm not saying we are speaking to Volvo, I'm giving you an example, but if we were speaking to Volvo, it's important that we build a solution that makes sense to Volvo. You can't talk to Volvo about, I don't know, the food industry. They may not understand how that makes sense to them. And equally so, I think that we should initially target industries where there's, at least already some interest in blockchain technology. So, for example, we know that the insurance industry is very interested in blockchain technology. It's a technology they're actually implementing, right? So it makes a lot of sense for us to if we're to pick beachhead markets, the shortlist might include the insurance industry, or, for example, the shipping industry. We know that Maersk recently, that for those of you who don't know, Maersk is an enormously large shipping company. They have vessels that move containers across the ocean, and we know that they're building technology using blockchain to track track these containers and track their possession, and where they are, and what truck they made it onto, and what train they made it onto, what vessel they were on, and such. And another industry that we're looking at is the agricultural industry. So, for example, we know that the agricultural industry is doing a lot in the realm of IoT. And I think that there would be a lot of interest in, and I'm speaking next week, in fact, about the cross between IoT and blockchain, and why there's a lot of benefit in blockchain to the IoT industry. So I think because of our presence in some of our relationships, for example, with ARM, it makes a lot of sense for us to shortlist the agricultural industry. We also have a partnership that we have not yet announced with somebody in the agricultural industry that we'll be announcing at some point in the future. So these are kind of the things that we're thinking about. And as I said, this is in addition to what we've spoken about with regards to the no-code platform. So why the no-code platform is really important to Sparkster's decentralized cloud is because it solves the problem of how do we get software built for the decentralized cloud? And most importantly, how do we enable people to do it quickly and easily without having to understand the architecture of blockchains or understand the architecture of our decentralized cloud? You should be able to build in a language you understand, for example, JavaScript, or using our no-code tools, without having to worry about the architecture underneath that's going to be running your applications, and then be able to essentially get those things to easily run on our network. And this is one of the things that we're heavily focused on. So In the past, I've spoken about why I think the Sparkster's decentralized cloud is a leading contender in the area of decentralized cloud computing. And the reason I think that's the case is really for three things. Number one, as I just mentioned, we solved the impedance or the challenges with building for blockchains, right? Or building for this environment. Number two, we have the highest TPS claims in the industry, and we're easily able to back up those TPS claims, right? Of 10 million transactions a second, and that's practically speaking, not theoretically speaking, right? And thirdly, not only do we have extremely high TPS claims, we also have extremely low latency claims. And that's tremendously important. And that's by virtue, again, of our architecture, which we've discussed in previous videos. So hopefully that gives you some insight, just to kind of summarize this, right? So we're aiming to attack the leadership of large enterprises by means of thought leadership and working with PR agencies to get our opinions out there and to get people to understand how and why we think the future of cloud computing is decentralized. We're already having people reach out to us because they're interested in our opinions on this. Enormous organizations reach out to us because they think that we're a disruptor in the cloud computing space. And then in terms of people who will be implementing this technology, we want to make sure that the people, for example, in the DevOps teams, are comfortable with the idea of a decentralized cloud and are comfortable with the concepts of this and get some hands-on experience. And then to connect these two entities or these two groups together, the leadership and the DevOps teams, we want to make sure that we're putting out these vertical market showcases that demonstrate how the technology can be used and people can experience low latency, experience high throughput, and can able to see the sorts of things they can easily build and how those things were built for Sparkster's decentralized cloud. And then once again, it's extremely important that we have accreditations for our claims in the area of security, scalability, and most importantly, data privacy. So I think we'll leave it there for today. I appreciate everyone's time and thank you for being with us today. And I'll see you back in the Telegram group and on Friday for this week's AMA. Take care, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your week. Bye-bye.